Today, we're talking all about me.
Okay, my story. All right, I have always been into supernatural and paranormal since I was really young, and I started meditating at the age of 12. When I was 13 to 16, I got into pendulums and tarot cards, and then when I was 18, I went for a psychic reading to a psychic fair, had a psychic reading, and they had told me that I do have abilities. So I actually went home and I told my mom about it and some of the things that I've experienced myself, dreams coming true or thinking something's going to happen and then it actually does, knowing what someone's going to say before they even say it, that type of thing, a lot of deja vu. So my mom listened and then told me that that's nice, but to not talk about it.
Right.
Not tell a lot of people about it because I look and sound crazy, I guess. It's not really what my family believes in. They kind of were cool with me dabbling in that world, but it was just more as a hobby. They didn't actually believe it to be true. So when I mentioned anything about psychic anything, they wanted me to nip it and just not talk about it with anyone. So I didn't. I kept it quiet, kept kind of having my own interests, continuing learning tarot and learning a lot about the chakras. And then when I went off to college, kept it up. But being in school for massage therapy, we do also cross into a lot of energy work. And I thought, based on those topics in holistic health and some of the conversations I'd had with classmates, I thought, oh, great, these are my people. I can bring it up again. So I was actually at a study session and mentioned to some of my classmates that I was studying with that there was a being in the corner, a large man, and from the look on their face, I should have followed my mom's advice and just not talked about it because, again, I was playing that crazy card.
And so, how long ago was that?
That was, I would have been probably 20. I was in college.
So,
yeah. I was really young. So based on everyone's reactions, I realized that it's not something that is well received, and I'm just best to keep my mouth shut. I kind of did it in secrecy. Kind of got away from it in my mid-20s, as you got started with life, buying a house, getting married, career. I still continue to meditate, but one thing that was really cool was with my hands-on practice as a massage therapist, I found that I could really pick up on a lot of, I guess, messages from the bodies that I was working on. Now, I did think that all massage therapists could do this, but it was really cool to see it develop in that I was fortunate enough to have a really successful business and practice right off the bat, and that was because I not only followed the protocols that I was taught in school, but then also if I got an inkling to work somewhere, I would add that into the treatment, and it seemed to really do the trick and get people better faster. Just kept listening to their bodies, and I started to receive more and more messages, whether it was someone's name, and I mentioned it to the client, and sure enough it was, their mother had passed, food sensitivities, or deficiencies, anything like that, I could sense and communicate that with the patient.
So explain a little bit more about how you felt those communications.
So at the time, I would either hear the words, or I would get a picture, or I would get a feeling, especially if I was doing the deeper tissue work. I could really feel what the client was feeling pain-wise. I could just see it in my mind's eye. And now I know that those are the different types of clairs. Yeah. So clairvoyant, being able to see, sentient, sensing, cognizant, knowing, clairaudient, hearing. So I always had access to all the clairs, and so I would receive that information in a multitude of different ways, and it was different with each patient and each treatment. Yeah, so I just paid more attention to it, learned to listen more, and found that the more I listened, the more I allowed the tissue to guide me, the more information I received, and then we got into taking some courses, and that just kind of propelled it all forward. Marianne was wonderful at teaching us how to harness the clairs and use mediumship, and I threw that into my hands-on practice, and it just allowed me to not only listen to the body and the tissue and what the body wanted, but also what their energy field was saying. You know, if there were loved ones, I could call them in for advice. So it became this whole toolbox of access in multiple different realms to be able to help one person. Unfortunately, in the recent years, I've burnt out. So I actually had to take some time away, but now I'm getting back into it, and I'm not only listening to other people's bodies, but now I'm listening to my own as well. And I think that managing both and respecting both has helped me to develop really good listening skills for both them and myself.
So you talked about courses with Marianne. So explain that a little bit, what that was all about.
The first course I took was, or that we took, was soul coaching. And honestly, I highly recommend soul coaching. It's like 20 years of therapy in 6 weeks. That was mind-blowing, especially about learning how we might have soul contracts or our soul journey, our purpose for being here. And it might not always match up with what the shoulds are in our lives. So it just gave me like the bigger picture and what maybe my calling is versus what I should be doing, you know. And then I got into mediumship, and that allowed us to blend with loved ones or spirits who have crossed, like develop a vocabulary with them to be able to communicate that to either a sitter who we're speaking to, or in my case it was the bodies that I was working on. And so all the ways that you can kind of find the radio station and be able to connect on that level and be able to listen and receive the information. So we took a ton of courses over the last few years, and it has been extremely beneficial, which then has led to me, and I can say us, understanding that it's not just about the messages that you're receiving or being able to communicate with the other side. It's actually about taking that information and applying it into Earth School, like applying it into what we're doing here and listening to those signs, following the path, and doing what is in our highest and best.
So essentially, we're helping others using these skills, but we're also helping ourselves.
Exactly. And I believe that the more you help yourself, the more you do what's in your highest and best, it's in everyone's highest and best.
Right. And that's really the purpose of this YouTube channel, isn't it?
It is.
We want to take what we've learned and demonstrate what we've benefited from and put it out to you guys so that you can benefit as well.
And then we also, it hasn't been easy. It has not been easy. We've had to make a lot of really tough decisions that are in our best interests. So there's a lot of resistance there, and that I think is one thing that holds people back a lot of the time. So since we've been through it, if we can show how making those decisions to do the really difficult things have paid off, then it might give others a little bit more incentive to follow their heart and do what's best for them.
Okay, so now that you're out of the spiritual closet, so to speak, how has that been received by people around you, whether it's clients or friends or family?
It's getting better. It certainly has not been easy. I did close my practice. I left my marriage, all because of the signs that I was receiving from the universe that it was in my best interest to take some time away for myself, and leave everything that was no longer serving me behind. So it was really hard to hurt people that way. But once I made those decisions and I just really focused on me and what my body needs, things started to fall into place and people came around. My parents are a little bit more inquisitive sometimes. It depends on, I guess, when you catch them. They have watched the Ghosts of Dufferin County episodes. Other members of my family have been quite fascinated with it and have actually reached out to me to kind of ask for more information on that. And in the spring, I kind of sent out a confessional email, to my patients, explaining what has come of my journey the last year and how I just don't feel like I could go back to being just a massage therapist. I really needed to listen to my calling, and that is to focus, I guess, more on the medical intuitive side, using massage therapy, using Reiki, acupuncture, craniosacral therapy, using all of those techniques, but treating according to what the change that the body wants me to facilitate, not just based on what the client is coming in with. I certainly listen to what the client wants, but if there's something else that might benefit them, it could make all the difference. And that's the way that I'm now treating patients, and it's actually been it's been well received. My clients actually come in now, want to know what I'm doing. Before, I would talk to them in a very massage medical way. Now they come in, they want to hear, is there someone in the room with me? What is their body saying? They'll even ask me to ask the body other questions, all questions that we know deep down inside. We know the answers. We just don't usually trust our instincts. So we'll often play games with pendulums or asking the craniosacral rhythm on what's in their best interest for questions that they have or whatever treatment that we're focusing on that day. So it's been pretty well received, and it's getting better. The more I follow, my gut and my heart, the easier things get. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the main message that we want to share with everyone, isn't it?
Yeah. It's to trust your gut, follow your heart, get out of your own way, and it all ends up working out. All right.